Goldsmith further writes, "A man sware he was, and stunned to view. I knew him well, and every trot knew. Well had the boarding tremblers learned to trace the day's disaster in his morning face. Full well they laughed with counterfeited glee at all his jokes, for many a joke had he. He was known as a strict person. The schoolmaster was a strict person, and he was familiar to all the taunts in the village because they had endured the master's reach. The poet, a man sware he was. He was a strict man and stern to view. When we look at him, he looks strict person. I knew him well. I here refers to poet. So the poet knew that master very well, and every trot knew, and every boy of that village knew very well. Well had the boarding tremblers learned to trace, and these people have learned very well to trace, to know. And boarding tremblers means trembling pupils, trembling students. They are trembling because of fear, because master is very strict. The day's disaster in his morning face. When they look morning face of the master, they come to know about their day ahead. So the boarding tremblers learn to trace. These students have learned very well to trace the mood of the master by looking at his morning face. Full well they laugh with counterfeited glee. Counterfeited laughter means fake laughter. The children laughed with counterfeited glee at his many jokes, whether they were funny or not. The children used to burst out in counterfeited laughter in order to avoid punishment. Yet the schoolmaster is not a fearsome figure, as the narrator is quick to point out, yet he was kind. Or if swear in aught, the love he bore to learning was in fault. This we will read in the next stanza. His faults, if any, are due to his dedication to education and learning rather than as character defects. So the students are really very fearful about this master, and whenever he tell them any joke, whether it is funny or not, they laugh with a counterfeited glee at all his jokes because he used to tell them many jokes. Full well the busy whisper circling around conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned, yet he was kind, or if swear in aught, the love he bore to learning was in fault. The trembling pupils were curious to know the day's misfortune on his face. If they observe a frown, they circulate the gloomy news, the sad news throughout the class. That master is not in a good mood today. Though he was stern, though he was strict, he was kind-hearted too. Yet he was kind. Or if swear in aught, he had an intensive love for learning also. Writing in the late 18th century, here Goldsmith portrays the schoolmaster as a respected figure of learning in a rural village in which basic reading and writing skills were the highest education many villagers attained. The figure of the schoolmaster, therefore, is an awesome presence, a man deserving of respect and admiration. That's why he is saying, yet he was kind, or if swear in aught, the love he bore to learning was in fault. Further, Goldsmith writes, the village all declared how much he knew. It was certain he could write and cipher too. Lengths he could measure, terms and tides precise, and even the story ran that he could gauze in arguing too. The parson owned his skill, for even though vanquished he could argue still. The villagers admired the schoolmaster's knowledge. The village all declared, the whole village had declared that he knew, he is having a great knowledge, how much he knew. He was able to read and write well, it was certain. He was good at arithmetic also. In calculation, he was also good. Lands he could measure. He could also survey lands, forecast weather and tides. The village parson approved of his skill in debate. In argument, the parson was skillful, but he was able to continue his argument. The schoolmaster, even defeated by the village parson, he was able to continue his argument even after losing a debate. He won the arguments with his thundering voice. His voice is very strong when he debates with the parson. While words of learning length and thundering sound amazed the gazing rustic ranged around, and still they gazed, and still the wonder grew, that one small head could carry all he knew. But past is all his fame, the very sport, where many a time he triumphed, is forgot. The poem ends on a note of humor. The villagers gaze at him whenever they pass the school. The villagers are impressed with his ability to read and write, measure lands, do complex calculations, and mark the cycle of religious holidays. In argument with the parson, the schoolmaster does not always triumph, but uses words of learned length and thundering sound to further the argument, gaining respect from the audience of villagers as well. When he used to debate with parson, he used learned words or words of learned length. These long words was used by the schoolmaster, and by listening those words, the rustics, the villagers who were gazing at him, who were looking at him, they were surprised to listen that. They wonder, they think, they were surprised. Why they were surprised? Because they thought that one small head could carry all he knew. How his small head could keep that enormous hoard of knowledge. Thus the poet describes the characteristic of the village schoolmaster. But past is all his fame. But all this fame of the schoolmaster is the part of history. The very sport, the place, the village where many a time he won, he triumphed, is now forgotten. Goldsmith's poem is more than a wistful nostalgia of his own childhood experience. His message is an explicit criticism of the decline of rural life in favor of urban centers. The respected figure of the schoolmaster is lost and forgotten. His value and respect is no more, as he concluded the poem by saying, "But past is all his fame." Here the poet laments the very sport where many a time he triumphed is forgot. Goldsmith stands against the ideals of the modern world, industrialism, commerce and materialism. He was protesting against all these things because due to materialism, due to industrialism, the people were leaving their villages. The rural life was declining. Here the portrait of the schoolmaster is a tribute to that part of the world, the rural countryside, which is fading away to make room for capitalist enterprise. Thank you.